Ladies and gentlemen of class, we have another Leica release that we're going to be talking about today, and this one is the Leica Q3 Monochrom, another camera that we're going to see in 2025. We are going to be talking about some of the comments, rumors that we have heard, and also we're going to talk about two main topics. Number one, is this camera going to be a 20 or 43 millimeter? Which one do you think is going to be? By the way, comment below. And number three, let's talk about autofocus, because there is something very special about this camera, which happens to be what has delayed this release. Let's dive in. Welcome back, guys. Get started here. So we have once again another video talking about another Leica camera that is up and coming. Right after we talked about a couple of days ago about the Leica MEV1, which is the first rangefinder camera without a rangefinder and electronic EVFs. So here we are again talking about the Leica Q3 Monochrom, and the first thing that we have to address is which lens this camera is going to have, because you guys know that right now we have 28 millimeters, which is what Leica has been doing in all the versions, and the 43 millimeter, which is the utmost recent Leica Q3. Now I have two cameras right here. This one is the 43 millimeters, and this one is my beloved Leica Q2 Monochrom. Honestly, I don't see anything wrong with this camera. The autofocus is just fine, although it doesn't have face detection, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. And I just wish this camera had the tilt screen, because it is something that I leverage a lot. I shoot a lot from the waist down, and the tilt screen on my Q3 and Q3 43 is a tool that I leverage very much. But there's nothing other than that makes me think that this camera is not good enough. I think that this camera, for a lot of people, not having the screen is actually a plus. And take a look at it, you know, it is so nice and beautiful. So I'm assuming that if they do a Q3 Monochrom, it's gonna have very similar Q lines of this camera. So it's gonna be blacked out in its majority. We're not gonna have right here the logo, which I love, and I tend to black out my own logos, as you can see right here. Now this one, yeah, like I mentioned before, beautiful camera, performs really good. The 20 millimeter lens is my perfect focal length when it comes to street environmental, but I have to say that I've been enjoying the 43 for most of my street portrait photography. Now let's talk about, is it going to be a 20 millimeters? Is it going to be a 43? And I actually have two theories that both theories compete with each other. So let's actually talk about the first one. And it makes a lot of sense to think that Leica is going to do again another 28 millimeter. So pretty much we're gonna get the same thing that we have right here with the tilt screen, Maestro 4 processor. And that, you know, will be my first opinion on what this release is going to be about. But also you have to think about this. If I am a photographer that already owns a Leica Q2 20 millimeters, honestly, there is not much for me to sell this camera. But if I was someone that only owned this camera, it would make a lot of sense for me to even dream about a 43 millimeters, because it would complete my kind of like pair. And I shoot mostly in monochrome for all my photography, unless it's for reviewing a lens or, you know, a camera here in the channel. But for my everyday photography, monochrome is what I shoot. And I'd be super happy with these two cameras, a 28 monochrome and a 43 monochrome. Probably I wouldn't need anything else if you ask me. For that reason alone, I think that thinking about 43 monochrome makes a lot of sense for Leica, for the sole reason that they could actually sell another camera to someone that exclusively own a 28 millimeter monochrome. You know, we have several 20 millimeters, by the way, and it would be something more of a novelty. The Q3 43 is the only one of its kind. So for that reason alone, I have these two theories. 20 makes a lot of sense in one side, because black and white street photography, and 20 millimeter makes a lot of sense for most people. It does make for me, but also it makes a lot of sense if they would actually consider this camera in 43 millimeters. And this video does have a sponsor, and it is my company Monochrome. We've been making photography accessories, and check out this flat rope strap with leather accent. This one is breathable, super light, and super easy to tuck away, made in Miami, Florida. And since you're here, check out a brand new hot grip for Leica's M10, M11, and the new Q2, Q3 version is going to be released. The good thing about this one is that you can shoot flash while actually getting the support. So it has this little lid that protects the pin. You remove remove them like so, store them right here in the back like you can see, and then you just simply install this shoe in your flash, and now you have flash photography while getting great ergonomics at the same time. So to check this product, go to allcrown.com, enter code GShutter10 for 10% on your next order. Now, one thing that I wish Leica would do right away or in reverse is that they would actually introduce this camera with the reporter color, and that wouldn't be actually a bad idea because I love that color. Now, to think about a reporter Q3 Monochrom is not a far-fetched theory because they have done it before with the Q2 reporter. Love that color scheme, the green with the black. Now guys, let me know, 28mm or 43, what's your choice? And the last thing that we're gonna talk about is that this camera has been delayed because of a technical challenge. And that has been that the new Q3 Monochrom is going to be using the same autofocus that we have in the 43. And that autofocus is phase detection autofocus, and that autofocus algorithm happens to rely in color. There you go. So you get where I'm going with this. So the Leica Q3 Monochrom is going to be the first camera in the world with a monochrome sensor and phase detection autofocus. And this could actually be good or not so good depending how the technology plays out. Now let's talk about why it may not be so good. Well, it may not be so good because probably they have to write the software from the bottom up, just relying on luminance, not color and luminance, which is how this autofocus system seems to work. I don't know exactly of the mechanics and technology, but that's what I've heard from some people that understand about phase detection autofocus. And because of that, it's gonna be the first of its kind. We know what happened when companies do something for the very first time. There is a learning curve, a bunch of firmware updates to patch some things. And sometimes even after so many firmware updates, things are not that good neither. So I hope that is not the case. But on the other side, on the flip side, it could be really, really good because it may mean that it's going to be a lot easier for the camera just handling luminance if the technology would kind of like capitalize on less is more and being a little bit easier for the processor. Maybe we may have a faster response than on any of the Leica Q cameras out there, and that could actually be a very positive move. So guys, this one, the announcement that we have talked in just 1 week, the M-EV1, which is the first Leica M without a rangefinder and an EVF. And now we're talking about another camera that is going to be released this year, which is the Leica Q3. Question for you, what do you think it's going to be? Is it going to be a 28, does it make sense, or the 43? And also, what do you think about autofocus, phase detection in monochrome? If you can give us some insight about how autofocus work, drop it in the comments down below. And until then, I'll see you in another video.